Hey guys, I'm gonna share another scary story from my BS haunted basement, because I just remembered this one. If anyone saw I saw the devil and he was real post, you know my boyfriend suffers from nightmares and paranormal activity. This story has truly stuck with me, literally, and I love this forum so I wanted to share it. This was like the second or third time I slept over at his house and we had gotten into a fight, so I went to bed early because I was also just grumpy and tired. He came in shortly and lay beside me. I fell asleep before him and ended up having a nightmare, so I woke up. I can handle nightmares pretty good, so I just went into his arms and fell back asleep. I had another nightmare, but this one was different. At the time, I thought I was dreaming, but now that I'm writing this, I think I was in sleep paralysis or lucid dreaming. I'm not sure. I'm just going to call it a dream, because I'm not sure what to call it, and I'll do my best to explain, because it's kind of odd. So in this dream, I was looking down my boyfriend's stomach from where I was laying, and there was like 6 orb hole things. Some were white and some were black. Every time I looked at the white ones, I felt calm. Whenever I looked at the black, I would get really stressed and anxious. Something drew me to keep looking at the black orbs until I got so worked up I almost threw up. I shot up and looked over at him. I felt like something was going to hurt him and something terrible was going to happen. I started hyperventilating and dry heaving a little, so he ran and got me some water to calm down. What I saw truly terrified me when I woke up. I saw a blurred, light brown figure duck fast under his bed on his side. It felt like a woman's presence, but very sinister. When the next day arrived, I told him about it, and he said him and his best friend has seen her, and that she always talks to him when he's in sleep paralysis. He told me she specifically targets me and says bad things about me, like how I'm the devil and how I'm sent to stray him from God. You might be like, maybe your BF just hates you. But I'm extremely religious and have brought the both of us closer to God, so he can't make those things up and dream them because how I am with religion. Well, fast forward a few months and guess who I saw in my house? I know it's her because I get the exact same feeling I did that night, and it's the exact same blurred light brown female figure I saw in his bed. He hasn't seen her since she latched onto me as well. Whenever I see her, I do the sign of the cross and she leaves me alone. Something tells me her name is Meredith. We did some research and I think it might be Lilith from Isaiah 34:14. I'm not sure though, all I know is she's a negative presence. If anyone has an idea of what she is or experience with this same thing, let me know. Also, my friend gave me sage because she's indigenous and was worried about me. When I started seeing the spirit, my sage vanished. I don't know if that's important, just thought that was weird. I don't know if this counts as supernatural or just a freak coincidence, but it definitely freaked me out nonetheless. This happened back in 2018. So my friend and I both attend church on a regular basis, so talking about things that have to do with the spiritual battles, ghosts, demons, the devil, etc. Something that we talk about from time to time. So when this event took place, the show Chilling Adventures of Sabrina came out on Netflix. I'm sure you've heard of it. I started watching it and I would tell my friend about each episode, but as the episodes progressed, the show seemed to get darker and more focused Satanism. Which I didn't expect. In hindsight, I should have. It wasn't really about a witch trying to fit in the mortal world anymore, but pretty much the worship of Satan. I would tell my friend about all the weird and creepy stuff, like sacrifices that would go on in the show, and he would make jokes and say, if you keep watching that satanic stuff, it'll manifest, and you'll see Satan standing at your door. Or, you're going to hell for watching that. Dumb stuff like that. It was funny, but I never really thought about it, and just kept on watching. While watching, I kept telling myself I was just watching the show to understand what people that are actually into the demonic rituals and worship Satan are like, because they are out there. I convinced myself I was watching for knowledge on Satanism and wouldn't let it affect me, even though I was starting to get pretty freaked out about the whole thing. The whole reason why I was getting freaked out is because I'm a firm believer that when you surround yourself with bad and negative things like that, you're just inviting evil entities into your life. Now here's what happened that made me second guess everything. Remember this specific day, I had a lecture to go to the next day, so I went to sleep at a regular time, not too late. Next morning I wake up, get a text from my friend, and he says, "Why did you call me at 3 a.m.? Now I read that, and I'm completely confused. I thought to myself, I didn't call him. I checked my phone's call log and he was right. I did call him at 3 a.m. But I was sleeping at that time, so how could I have called him? I make a joke about it being the devil that called him from my phone to try and make light of the weird situation. But then he sends me a screenshot of the call and it freaked me out even more. The call was made at exactly 3:33 a.m. Some people say that's the devil's hour or something. Then my friend makes the joke and says, "I told you you're going to hell." I started to get a little panicked at that point because how is it possible that a random call gets placed at that specific time when I'm not awake? It could have been any time, but why that specific time? I tried to rationalize it, and I told my friend that I would sleep with my AirPods in, listening to white noise, and maybe I turned in my sleep and somehow clicked on my AirPod twice and called him. I was really trying to make sense of the whole thing, and it was the only rational thing I could come up with, but I just put it out of my mind. Later that day, I watched another episode of the show. I forget what episode number it was, but in the specific episode, Sabrina was on trial in front of the witches for breach of promise from her refusal to sign the Book of the Beast. And some of the things the judge said was, she was found guilty, she would completely lose her humanity and spend 333 years burning in the pit of hell. I told my friend about what I just saw, and I said, "Yep, I'm done." I stopped watching that show right then and there and didn't look back. Too many coincidences adding up all at once, and I didn't like it. I got the chills just writing this, but that's my story. It's the closest thing I've ever experienced to anything weird or supernatural. Maybe it was or wasn't, but that was definitely a scary experience. I call her Betty. I let her be. I've been selling wedding dresses for 5 years, and I won't lie to you, I'm great at it. I can spot the style the bride wants the second they walk through the door. My monthly commission is more than double what my coworkers bring home, and I'm content doing what I love. The only downside is Betty. Our dress shop is iconic in a historic town that used to house stars from the Golden Age. In the 50s, we sold evening wear, but nowadays we mainly do bridal and some custom orders. I was closing the shop alone one night when I first met Betty. I had just closed the till and was about to flip our close sign when a woman appeared at the glass door. She was stunning, ethereal really. She was taller, I would say about 5'10". Her hair seemed long but was pulled into a French twist, the color of honey. Ivory, poreless skin, light green eyes. She was wearing a vintage dress, lavender. She really was so lovely. She apologized for being last minute but said she was eloping soon and needed to purchase something off the rack for the occasion. No problem. Fairly common request nowadays with elopements being so popular. When I brought her to the rack, she immediately steered towards our vintage line, picking out a classic Dior, which everyone admired but left alone due to the cost. Cost isn't a factor, she said, tracing the lace with her fingertips. I liked her already. She insisted to get dressed alone, and I obliged. I continued my busy work until she stepped out of the dressing room. I don't go through the same script in my head when a bride comes out in dress. "Oh, stunning, your groom is a lucky man," he will cry when he sees your beauty. But now, I am speechless. She truly was the most beautiful bride I had ever seen. She sparkled, twirled, admired her reflection. "Oh, this dress," she squealed. "I don't need to see anything else. I'll take this one." Perfect. I clasped my hands together. "Go ahead and get changed and we'll get this ring up for you. It's truly your perfect dress." She smiled at me, tears welled up in her eyes, and she turned and went behind the curtain to change. I was humming to myself at the register, thinking about what vacation I could book with the commission, when I noticed she's been changing for a while. At least 15 minutes. I walked up to the curtain. "Miss?" No answer. "Miss, do you need help? Please don't be embarrassed. The zippers can catch on our vintage dresses sometimes." Nothing again. "Are you all..." I gently moved the curtain aside to peer into the fitting room when the sight before me chilled me to my bones. Betty stood before me in her beautiful Dior, engulfed in flames. She was standing still but shaking, like something I couldn't see was holding her still while the flames burned the flesh off her beautiful face. She looked like a lovely painting that was slowly, painfully melting. Her eyes were wide, unmoving when she whispered, "Help me." I screamed and jumped backwards, not fast enough to avoid the tips of my hair burning at the contact of the flame. "Me and the fire extinguisher, hold on, stop, drop, and roll," I hollered while running to the back room, cell phone in hand. I hurriedly dialed the fire department and got an operator as my hand reached the extinguisher. Hello? Yes, there's a fire at the wedding gown shop on 5th. Please hurry. I ran back to the front, towards the flames, closed my eyes, and unleashed the extinguisher all over the flames. I was crying, screaming, hoping I was quick enough to save Betty. I was still spraying the fire extinguisher when the sirens parked outside. They're here, miss. Stay calm, he said, stepping forward to cross the white foam. Only she was gone. At first I thought she had crumbled into ash, and then I realized that couldn't happen that quickly. Another thing I saw was that the dressing room was pristine. No fire damage, no flames, not even a smoke smell. And the Dior was hung up perfectly on the try-on hook. The fire chief burst in, asking where they needed to go. When they saw me standing alone in the residual foam, they looked puzzled. I tried to explain. I told them about the woman, the flames, the dress. They all looked at each other amused, like I imagined it. Oh, ma'am, you might have just had a candle lit too long. No danger here, the firefighter said. He asked if they'd call anyone for me, and I just softly shook my head. Once they had all cleared the store, I closed the door and locked it tightly. I know it didn't imagine it. How could I? I reached up and ran my hand through my hair, and that's when I felt it. The tips of my hair burned off. I chalked it up to an aggressive ghost story and tried to move on. But Betty came back. Every single evening, she comes to the door, asks about a dress for her elopement with her sweetheart. Same hairstyle, same lavender outfit, same heartbreaking smile. I used to berate her, demand to know what game she was playing, threaten her with the police. Her eyes always go wide with concern and she starts to cry. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to upset you by coming to the shop so late, ma'am. I'll come back tomorrow, she will say, dabbing her eyes with the tissue she takes from her leather pocketbook. And sure enough, she's back the next day. It took several weeks to accept Betty wasn't from our time or even from our current world at all. Once I accepted it, I sympathized with her. So now, when Betty comes to the door, I always let her in to browse, but I always tell her we don't open our dressing room so close to closing time. She always agrees, browses the vintage dresses, and stops at the Dior and smiles, swearing she will be back tomorrow at open to try it on. She will leave, and I go on with my evening. I wish I knew who Betty was and what happened to her, where her sweetheart was. I couldn't help but wonder if he was the one who had lit her on fire to begin with. So, last night and tonight, a couple areas of asphalt are being retired. Last night was the ER driveway and ambulance bay. Because of this, ambulances were required to come in via the upstairs main entrance. Being security, I was posted at the main lobby desk to assist EMS and other potential patients and guests for the ER. As in context, I was alone. Staffing sucks, especially in my department. The main entrance is right next to the chapel, and at the end of the hall, opposite the main hallway, is the lower rooms of the chapel, where priests and later OBGYN doctors would stay overnight. That's a whole other creepy area I have stories about. The chapel is a historic building that's connected to the modern hospital, built in 18-something. It's closed to the public because an earthquake a few years back caused damage and the risk of the balcony detaching and collapsing. Only security, maintenance, and a few choice admins are allowed access. Anyhow, I'm chilling at the desk, stupidly watching Tragic Tales, Abyssal Detective, and the occasional The Paranormal Files, because I'm a very disturbed person. It's roughly 3:34, and there hasn't been another soul in sight for a good hour or two. I heard tapping coming from the hallway towards the chapel. Now, this could have been anything. I'm seated beside a decorative water fixture. The air circulation system isn't the quietest, and from somewhere within the gift shop, pharmacy, and coffee shops is a beep from an alarm system. But this was distinct tapping, like someone impatiently tapping their foot. It wasn't consistent, maybe 2 or 3 taps every few seconds. Then there was the rustling of papers. This is what pulled me away from my not-so-comfy chair. I ran to the corner, ready to throw hands, and found nobody. Absolutely nothing. I went back to the desk, but I was feeling too restless to sit, so I went out for a smoke break. I didn't want to go far from the entrance, so I sat on a bench in a little brick patio area. Out of sheer stupid curiosity, I shone my flashlight up at the windows of the chapel, the stained glass ones that are where the service used to be held. My flashlight is maybe a little dimmer than the sun. I can seriously blind someone with it on its highest setting. Nothing unusual, just the ornate panels depicting the apostles or whoever they are. I'm not religious anymore, definitely don't know anything about Catholicism. Move my beam to the back windows where the small corridor is behind the podium. The little area that has the hazardously narrow staircase leading to the lower floor, and I saw movement. A shadow, but definitely human-shaped. Great, now I have to go inspect it. I've encountered homeless people who've entered through the crawl space below the chapel, so there's no way in hell I was going alone. I call my big bro in ICU who loves getting involved with security affairs. Big dude, 6'2", maybe, somewhere between 200 and 220 pounds of very little fat and mainly muscle. Instant yes, he meets me in the main lobby. We go into the chapel through the lower floor to walk through the rooms and exit through the congregation area. We don't find anything in the lower area. As we're walking through the rows of pews upstairs, we both start to notice something. Fresh prints in the distance on the pews, like butt cheeks and handprints. Then we hear the tapping. It's a bit muffled, the floor has thin carpeting on it, but it's enough to scare even big bro. We leave immediately and I lock the doors behind us. I've never seen my big bro scared like that. He's usually so gung-ho about stuff. I don't think I'll ever go in there by myself again, and I highly doubt big bro will ever return, even in the daylight. I really wish I could post pics, but sadly I cannot. They were very distinct. Thankfully, last night is the only night I had to be up in the main lobby. I think I'll spend tonight in the ER where my worst fears are getting beat up by the drunks and druggies.